You know, there's a lot of things in life we can measure. We can measure how tall you are. We can measure what you weigh. We can measure your closing percentage in sale. But how do you measure mental and emotional toughness? Pain tolerance is one of the biggest factors of someone who can handle pressure. Because the whole idea of pressure is there's pain. That pain could be embarrassment. That pain could be, I don't know if I can handle this. That pain could be a lot of different things. You know, Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, the difference between a hero and an average person is that the hero goes 5 minutes longer. Meaning the hero can handle the pain 5 minutes longer than the other person. Chadwick Boseman just died. Okay, here's a man that did Jackie Robinson. He did Black Panther. The guy's a great speaker. The guy had colon cancer, none of us knew about it. Let me get this straight. He's had colon cancer for 4 years and the world doesn't know about it? Aren't we living in a time where you're supposed to expose all your problems at any given moment? Aren't all these Huffington Post experts telling people, publicize your pain and share it with the world? Well, Chadwick Boseman says, no, it's none of your business. It's my problem. It's my pain. Never use it as an excuse to not make those movies. I watched both of them. You never made that as an excuse to make Black Panther and to make a bunch of other things this guy did. Never showed hurt.
But there are some people that really enjoy being sick. They like the attention, they like the motivation, they like to use it as an excuse. Well, you know, it's my sugar acting up again. They just enjoy being sick. They make up diseases, hypochondriacs, creating afflictions, excuses to limit them from getting better. I can't relate to it because I want to get well as quick as possible. Some people like being ill because they can then do whatever they want to do and blame it on how they grew up. That becomes your excuse for your temper tantrums and your rages and your obsessions and your excesses. You always categorize it, I'm drinking because of the way I was raised. A set of twins was raised by an alcoholic father, and one of them grew up and became an alcoholic. They said, you're acting just like your daddy. He said, why are you an alcoholic? He said, because I was raised by an alcoholic. The other twin never touched a drink in his life. They said, why are you not drinking? He said, because I was raised by an alcoholic. Think about it.
One way you measure toughness is just look how much people show hurt. Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, passes away. 4 years has colon cancer, no one knows about it. He goes to the doctor. That means that this doesn't mean he's not taking care of his body. He's going to the doctor, but he doesn't advertise his pain. Sometimes it's just good not to advertise your pain. Sometimes it's good to not just tell the whole world what you're going through. I'm not telling you don't talk about it with a group of people. I'm not telling you have some private conversations with certain people. I do believe in the ability to have some kind of a form of a release. But the way people are doing it right now, posting everything on Instagram, all this other stuff, what's the point behind it? You need attention? Is that what you need? Mental toughness people are not looking for attention. Mental toughness people are trying to get results. A big difference. You know, life is going to test you every freaking day. You could have 1 week, the best week of your life. Next week, something dramatic happens. I don't know why life works this way. It just does. You could have 1 week, everything goes bad. Next week, everything goes good and great. That's how life is. You're getting tested. So sometimes when you're in it and you're going through challenging times, here's what you think. You think in the moment you are the only person that's going through it. It's a problem, by the way. You're going to be tested in your marriage while you're running a career. You're going to be tested with your family, with somebody passing away, while you're chasing your dreams. Arnold was going to win Mr. Universe. The day before, a few days before his father dies, he tells his mom, I can't make it to the funeral because my dad, if he's watching over me, he wants me to pursue my dreams. I'm going to win Mr. Universe. He goes and wins Mr. Universe, and the rest is history. This doesn't mean he doesn't love his dad. This means he's got a spiritual relationship with his dad to say, I don't know what I do in this moment here. He goes, he wins, Weeder figures him out, becomes Mr. Olympia, you know, governor, all these other things that he does. In those moments, of the decisions we make when we're getting tested and you feel like you're by yourself, those are moments where you're measuring your toughness. Those are moments where you're being tested constantly. Again, there's not a method to say you're 93% tough, you're 71% tough. We can't do that. The only way we can measure toughness at the end of the day is with the results that you end up getting. You ever hear people calling someone soft? Oh, he's soft. Oh, she's so soft. What is soft? I'm asking you, what is soft? You've heard that before. Oh, he's soft. He's a soft player. He's soft in business. How do you define soft? Soft is someone that doesn't have a backbone. Soft is someone when they're cornered and push comes to shove, they quit. Soft is someone that claims their values, but then when it comes down to tough things happen in their lives, they compromise their values. Soft is somebody that declares their intentions. Here's what I'm going to do, world. But then when it gets tough, they say, no, I'm going to quit and take the easy way out. That's how you define soft. Call anybody anything but soft. Do you understand like how bad of a thing it is to be called soft? But a lot of people are soft. I have them in my business. I've seen in my industry. There were many times in life where in my mind, I was about to choose the soft decision. Many times in my life. This whole Ralph Waldo Emerson concept about, the only difference between a hero and an average person is the fact that he can take the pain 5 minutes longer. That's the thing. So if you're watching this right now saying, how does that relate to me? Ask yourself, how do you react when tough times show up? How do you react when you're getting tested? How do you react when you have your pain? How do you do under pressure? How do you do it? And by the way, every single time you escape pressure and you say, well, the next time it happens, I'm not going to run. No, that's not how this thing works. Your memory remembers the last 3-4 times how you handled pressure. And it just reacts through the same way you've been doing your entire life. So if you say, well, this didn't work out, I'm going to go to the next thing, you're going to do the same thing again and again and again and again. Pressure sucks. Being tested sucks. There's nothing about it when you're in it that's exciting. Nothing about it that's exciting when you're in it. But there's a lot of great things about it when you come out of it. There's a lot of exciting things about it when you leave it. And all of a sudden you're looking at victories taking place. So moving forward, you want to build toughness? You want to be known somebody that gets things done and you're not soft? The next time you're going to say you're going to do something, do it. The next time you're in a pressure type situation where it sucks and you have the ability to lose and be embarrassed, tolerate the pain a little longer. Go a little longer. The next time you're in a moment that you don't really like being in and it's embarrassing, go a little longer. The next time you're going through pressure type situations where you're being tested, talk to yourself. Actually talk to yourself and say, hey, didn't Ralph Waldo Emerson say the difference between a hero and an average person is that you go 5 minutes longer? I'm going to go 5 minutes longer. Our body can handle a lot of pain that we don't know about. I'm going to push my body to that level. I'm going to push it and test my limits. That's the beautiful part about it.
And I know I've said before that knowledge is the most important thing. But the reality is if you don't have the strength or actually the health to back that up or even to function as a human being physically, then your knowledge and your mental strength doesn't really even matter. So that comes into play. And being big and strong is also totally useless if you're mentally weak and you quit. Now, being mentally strong should actually lead you to being physically strong, because if you are mentally strong, then you can work and train to become physically strong. But if you're mentally weak, then you will not hold the line on the good foods and the good workouts, and you won't get physically strong or healthy. So train your physical strength and exercise your mental strength by doing the right things, the hard things, the things you know you're supposed to do. Do them. and be as strong as you can mentally, physically, and emotionally for yourself, for your team, for your family. Hold the line and be strong.
And as Robert Louis Stevenson said, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but rather by the seeds you plant. And that's what knowledge is. That's what the learning process is you're learning something today that you may not even understand how it's going to be valuable. But one day, that piece of knowledge is going to come to your aid. One day, that thing that you learned is going to be something that you're going to lean on. One day, that thing that you've worked your ass off to understand better than anybody else in the world, it's going to help you change the world.
You cannot win the war against the world if you can't win the war against your own mind.
Where I got my work ethic from was the hours I had to spend learning this. When you sit down and you're not smart, and you have a disability, and you still want to be at the top of your class, I didn't want to just get by. When I realized that I can learn through hard work, and I can beat the valedictorian in school, but I got put in 10 hours more a day than he does. You know what kind of strength comes from that? When you're sitting down, that guy that valedictorian studied for an hour, and you know I caught you, and I'm in numb. But I have the work ethic to catch you.
Whatever you need to do, do it. Stop crying and just keep hustling.
You're stronger than you think. You haven't discovered all that's in you. You'll never know how strong you really are until you face pressure that you've never faced.
You put in 120% every time, or you don't put in nothing. Because listen to me very closely. Today, this opportunity you have, it might not be here next year. It might not be here the year after next. It might not be here the year after that. This is the only moment you got, and you better take advantage of this particular moment.
By continuing to push forward, by continuing to run toward my dream, I've got what it takes to make it. Be ye not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. There's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way for me to begin to create a way out of no way. And when you have that kind of consciousness, when you have that kind of spirit, nothing can stop you. Nothing.
You need to care about everything, and it starts with yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what do I want to do every day for the rest of my life? Do that.
As Han Solo said, never tell me the odds. Never tell me what box I'm in. Never tell me what I'm up against. Never tell me about your limitations. Never tell me about my limitations. Because that, my friends, is what you have to break free from.
And 9 times out of 10, I can tell you why you started. You started because you were hungry.
So many people float down the river of life without ever even putting their paddles in the water, just hoping and praying and dreaming and wishing that they're going to end up somewhere good. Guys, that's not how life works. You know, you have paddles in your boat, you just got to learn to use them.
The first step in really empowering yourself, the first step in really going beyond what you thought is possible, is actually to stop judging other people, to stop looking at them and trying to put them in a box, because as you build boxes to put other people into, you inevitably put yourself into a box.
I'm telling you, I've been thinking, I've been making calls. That's what I'm asking you to do. What fuels you? The reason why you're so lazy is not because you don't have the ability. You're so lazy because your dream's so small.
The whole game's broken because everybody's too tied up into other people's opinions. I only care about my opinion myself. And I care what my mom and wife and kids and the world think, just not as much as I care about the way I feel about myself.
when you feel like throwing in the towel, when you feel like surrendering everything you worked for, remember why you started. Remember how you felt when you started. You were hungry.
Someone right now, they're putting in that work. And if you don't, the future is going to belong to them.
Hunger is the feeling of discomfort or weakness caused by a lack of food coupled with a desire to eat. How hungry are you?
Here's the worst part about that. It's right. If you quit right now, stop. You're not at risk of embarrassment. You're not at risk of failure. But you're also not at risk of greatness.
Paul Harvey said that you can tell you're on the road to success because it's uphill all the way. And I'm here to tell you, this something for nothing entitlement mindset that invades so many people's lives is a bunch of garbage. I can promise you, nothing that I've ever had worthwhile did I have just kind of fall into my lap like, oh my goodness, I won the lottery. And I know once in a while people win the lottery, but basically the people that win the lottery, half of them lose their money within 3 years, the money they won. And it's because they got money, but they never changed the way they thought. And can I tell you something? If you have all the assets in the world, but you don't change the way you think, you'll lose all the assets in the world. And what I have discovered in this whole process of trade-offs is that every step of the way of my journey, I have to trade something off. And and for you that are young, the good news is your trade-offs will never be easier than when you're young. Because I remember when Mark and I started out, I think, man, you know, I gave up everything. I was a pastor to go into ministry. I gave up everything, and then I started smiling. And I thought, I'm sure I gave up everything. I didn't have anything to give up when I did. I was a kid. You know what I mean? I had a 1964 Ford Falcon and a U-Haul trailer and 5 pieces of furniture, and life was grand, and off we went. Here's what I've discovered, kid, and I think that I want the audience to know, I want everybody watching around the world to know today, and this is very simple. The more successful you become, the higher the trade-offs are. You see, we make a mistake thinking it gets easier. It doesn't get easier, it gets harder. And the more you have, every time you go back and say, am I willing to risk that again? The more you realize, wow, I'm not sure I am willing to risk this. And what I've learned is the moment I stop making trade-offs is the moment that I plateau. And life is continually filled with trade-offs. In your life and in my life, my expression I use all the time, kid, you've heard me say this, you have to give up to go up. You got to ask yourself, is it going to give you the return? So in the area of strengths, you got to pour yourself into the things that you're already good at, because that'll really set you apart from average. Yeah. But in areas of choices, go for those weaknesses. Because you and I, don't you know people that are highly skilled, but they have a lousy attitude, or they're not self-disciplined, and they're never going to get anywhere. And they're not going to get anywhere because they didn't. So in areas of choices, work on your weaknesses. But in areas of strengths and skills, just work on your strengths.
When somebody comes and says, John, I want to be a leader, I always ask them the question, why? Why do you want to be a leader? I mean, do you want to be a leader because you want a corner office? Do you want to be a leader because you like to be in control? Do you want to be a leader because you love to be in the front of the pack? Do you want to be a leader because you want to have a good parking place? Why do you want to be a leader? Because leadership isn't easy. Leadership a lot of times isn't fun. Leadership a lot of times is kind of lonely. There's only one reason to be a leader, and that is to add value to people. And you and I will only add value to people if we truly value them. I have a nonprofit organization, Equip, that's trained almost 2 million leaders internationally around the world. And I kid you not, as I go to developing countries twice a year, and I travel internationally, and I sit down, sometimes I have the privilege of being in the offices of presidents of countries, and as I watch these developing countries, the thing that is the cardinal sin among leadership so much is that they have leaders of their countries that truly don't value the people. And if you and I don't value people, we will devalue people. Number 2, if you want to add value to people, you have to make yourself more valuable. You just have to get better. You have to keep growing. You have to keep learning. You have to keep developing. Why? Very simply, if you're leading the pack, you've got to be able to give what you have, and you can't give what you don't have. And so therefore, you've got to put a lot of good stuff in so that you can pass it on to others and share with them and add value to them. Thirdly, if you want to add value to people, You have to know and relate to what other people value. You and I have to walk slowly through the crowd. We have to listen. We have to care. You see, great leaders are first of all listeners, and then they're learners, and then they're leaders. They really do take their cue from the people. They understand that the key of leadership is connecting with the people that you lead, and the only way that you and I ever connect is by caring enough to listen. Number 4 is very important to me. When I'm speaking in the business community, I always share with them that for them there are 3 ways to add value to people, but for me there are 4. And I tell them I'll give them the 3. And so I'll spend maybe an hour doing those 3 things I just shared with you, talking about how to add value to people. And inevitably, when I'm done with the 3, somebody raised their hand and say, John, you said that for you there was 4, but you said there's only 3 for us. I said, yes, it's nothing personal, but this is about my faith. And so I don't really need to share this with you. It's because I'm trying to help you, and I don't want to cross boundaries with you. And inevitably they'll say, but John, tell us what yours is. And I'll say, well, okay, you can hear mine, but don't write it down. In fact, don't listen. Because number 4 for me is, if I really want to add value to people, I have to do the things that God values.
How would you tell us to develop a habit of curiosity?
Well, you know what? People do look at me and see me as creative because I've written so many books, and I am curious. But when I started off in college, in my freshman psych class, they gave us a test that for each student to take on creativity. And there were 17 in that class. I can remember it well. And I was at the bottom of the class on creativity. I mean, I was like number 17 out of 17. And what the teacher posted the scores. And so, I mean, I saw how bad I was. And then I really felt bad, not only because I wasn't creative, but I was going to go pastor, I was going to go into ministry, I was going to teach, I was going to do sermons. And then I got to thinking to myself, I'm going to be another boring preacher. And, you know, that just gripped me. I thought, oh, this is going to be awful. I'm going to bore people all my life, you know what I mean? And then I'm going to ask them to pay while they hear me. I mean, this is an awful deal. So, and so 2 things I did. And I talk about it in the book. One is I started filing. I started taking thoughts and quotes. And the reason I started doing that is I thought, if I'm not going to be good at what I say, I need to quote somebody that is good. And so I started filing things that other people would say. So I'd go around and I'd say, well, Ken said, you know what I mean? And Joe said, and Susie said. And so that at least I would be a little bit more interested. And that's how it started.
When you realize things in your life happen for you, truly, especially in hindsight. Everybody knows it in hindsight, right? If you look back at any disaster, tragedy, most people look back 5-10 years later, they go, that happened for me. That was actually a good thing. And so I was unemployed. I couldn't find a job. And my old man, my dad, was the best dad role model you could ever have in your life. Hardworking man, good man. He's a better man than me. Has more integrity than me. He's the best man I've ever known. But when I was growing up, my dad had a drinking problem. And so my dad had gotten sober recently, and he was going to these meetings. And he comes home from one of his meetings and says, there's a guy at my meeting who can get you a job. And it's right down the street in San Dimas. You're going to be working with kids. Doesn't pay anything. It's $6 an hour, but you're going to get this damn job. So show up there tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., ask for Tim. So I drive down there. It's a place called McKinley Home for Boys. Little did I know that would alter my entire life. That was the most significant thing that happened to me. And so I walk in there, I said, I'm Ed Milet, I'm here for the job. They're like, what job? I'm like, I don't know, just my dad told me to show up here. And I need to ask for Tim. They're like, we have no idea who the hell Tim is. What's his last name? I said, I don't know his last name. And they're like, so you showed up for a job that you don't know what it is and you don't know who it is that's hiring you. I'm like, here's what I know. He's an alcoholic. I'm like, oh, Tim. Yeah, we know that Tim. And so they bring me to the guy and he says, you're hired. Let's go. Like literally shakes my hand and you're hired. And he introduces me to these 8 boys that were my boys. They were 7, 8, and 9 years old. And basically I lived with these boys, these precious boys. And we ended up adding a few more. And my boys were all wards of the court. They were all molested by family where parents were in prison. And so they had no family. And so my whole life changed. All of a sudden I'm this 22-year-old guy. These guys become my sons. I lived with them. It altered me completely. Like what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be famous and rich and successful. And now I just wanted to serve. I wanted to help. Little did I find out I could get rich and famous and all that other stuff I thought I wanted through serving people, right? And so just altered me, man.
We really do acquire what we're most obsessed with. So if you're obsessed with your worries and your stresses and your problems, you will find a freaking way to obsess on them and you'll eventually possess them. Same with the things you want. People think that's corny.
But I'll give you an example, an addict. Addicts take all different kinds of forms, but we could go out on the street here, and by the way, I want to make sure that people understand this. Not everybody that lives on the street is an addict. They've got mental illness, or some people actually chosen to live there. But if we found an addict that was living on the street, no job, no income, no source of money, they find a way to get their drug, don't they? You find a way. If you're obsessed with something enough, regardless of the conditions, and addicts are the perfect example. They can have no money, no resources, been locked up before, everyone knows they're trying to get it, they could be in support me, but if they want that drug bad enough with no resources, no nothing, they find a way to get it. That's how humans are when they get obsessed with something. So don't tell me you can't win. Don't tell me you can't build your company. You can't get the person you want or the money you want. If you want it like an addict, bad analogy, but true, you want it like an addict needs their fix, you'll find a way to get it. That's how human beings are.
So then the next best predictor of lifetime success is conscientiousness. Well, so, and of the two aspects of conscientiousness, say orderliness and industriousness, the better predictor is industriousness. So the question is, well, what can you do about your industriousness? And the answer to that is, well, that's kind of rough too, because there's a strong genetic component. But you can work on micro habits with regards to your conscientiousness. And I think the best micro habits, this is partly to do with this future authoring program processes, I think the best thing you can do with regards to your conscientiousness is to set up some aims for yourself, goals that you actually value. And the future authoring program helps people do that. And basically it does a situational analysis of, it helps you do a situational analysis of your life more than a psychological analysis, I would say. And so the questions are something like, well, all right, you're going to have to put some effort into your life and you need to be motivated to do that. And so what are the potential sources of motivation? Well, you could think about them in the big five manner. You know, if you're extroverted, you want friends. If you're agreeable, you want an intimate relationship. If you're disagreeable, you want to win competitions. If you're open, you want to engage in creative activity. If you're high in neuroticism, you want security. Okay, so those are all sources of potential motivation that you could draw on, that you could tailor to your own, your own personality. But then there are dimensions that you want to consider your life across. And so we ask people about, well, if you could have your life the way you wanted it in 3 to 5 years, if you were taking care of yourself properly, what would you want from your friendships? What would you want from your intimate relationship? How would you like to structure your family? What do you want for your career? Well, how are you going to use your time outside of your job? And how are you going to regulate your mental and physical health, and maybe also your drug and alcohol use? Because that's a good place to auger down, because alcoholism, for example, wipes out 5 to 10% of people. So you want to keep that under control. And then so maybe you develop a vision of what you would like your life to be, and that associates the goal. Once the goal is established, and then you break down the goal into micro processes that you can implement. The micro processes become rewarding in proportion in relation to their causal association with the goal, and that tangles in your incentive reward system. We talked about the dopaminergic incentive reward system, and that's the thing that keeps you moving forward. And the way it works is that it works better if it produces positive emotion when it can see you moving towards a valued goal. Okay, well, what's the implication of that? Life. Better have a valued goal, because otherwise you can't get any positive motivation working out. And so the more valuable the goal, in principle, the more the micro processes associated with that goal start to take on a positive charge. And so what that means is, well, you get up in the morning and you're excited about the day, you're ready to go. And so as far as I can tell, what you do is you specify your long-term ideal. Maybe you also specify a place you want to stay the hell away from, so that you're terrified to fail as well as excited about succeeding, because that's also useful. You specify your goal. You do that in some sense as a unique individual. You want to specify goals that make you say, oh, if that could happen as a consequence of my efforts, it would clearly be worthwhile.
What do you think the potential is for any human being to live the life they want? What would you say? Okay, two people said unlimited, everybody else is quiet. How many would agree it's really unlimited? Potential, at least. If you do, give me a yes. So if our potential's unlimited, the question is, do most people's results in life reflect their true potential? Would you say yes or no? Absolutely not. Why not? You tell me. Well, a lot of people say it because they don't take action. I kind of led you with this, right? Yes. But you could be a salesman and you can knock on 100 doors and say, you don't want to buy anything from me, would you? You may not say that verbally, but your fear, your emotion could do that. Somebody's going to buy from you out of pity. So a lot of action's helpful, but if you're not certain it's going to work, you won't execute. That's when people say, I tried that. And whenever you say I've tried that, I know they didn't do the right thing. So I created this graphic, and you might want to jot it down, those of you at home or yourself. These 4 words: potential, action, results, and then belief or certainty. And here's how they work in a circle. Our potential's amazing, but if you don't believe something's going to work, if you've tried to lose weight before, you tried a diet, it didn't work out well, you don't feel certain anymore, and you're also fearful of failing. So when you're uncertain, do you tap full potential, yes or no? No, and when you don't think it's going to work, you not only don't take full potential, but are you going to take massive action when you think it's not going to work anyway? So when you use little potential with little action, what kind of results are you going to get? Lousy results. When you get lousy results, what does it do to your belief? Your brain goes, see, I told you it wouldn't work. See, I told you nothing never happened. See? And then what happens? Less potentials tap, less action, worse results, and now you're on the downward spiral. Who's ever been there in a relationship or with your body, your finances, you know what I mean? Now, you might be doing well in one area, like with your kids, you get great movement, but maybe on your finances, not so good. So sometimes we're going in different directions. So how would you change this? What would you guys do? Someone yell it out. What would you do to change the momentum? Where would you enter? Would you work on your potential? That's right. You got to believe. So how do you change your belief? The way you do it with athletes, because I worked with like the Warriors last year. I worked with the NHL champion Stanley Cup, Washington Capitals. You get results in advance. They visualize it, as simple as that sounds, but I'm going to show you. Can we pop over here?
Please, yeah.
Would you all stand up and I'll show you a quick technique.
Oh, you get a technique. We get to learn this right now. Hey, come on over here.
Over here.
Yeah.
Put your feet together straight ahead. And then bring your right index forward straight in front of you. And when I say now, I want you to turn clockwise comfortably, just as far as you naturally turn, okay? Keep your feet straight, go. Turn clockwise naturally. Everyone at home can do it too. Keep your feet straight. See where you end up? Come back around. Take your finger out of your neighbor's ear. Okay, now close your eyes. It's so simple. Even if you don't think you visualize, you can feel. So I want you to imagine your finger coming up, but imagine it so vividly it feels like it's coming up. Don't actually do it if you're at home or here, but imagine the finger comes up, and then imagine yourself turning twice as far. And it feels really good. See it, feel it. Open your eyes. Now, turn your finger straight, and now turn as far as you can comfortably and see where you go this time.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Okay. How many of you went significantly further? How many went at least 25% further this time? Okay, go. So here's my quick question. Did you have the potential to turn that far the first time? The potential.
Potential, yes.
Yes. So why didn't you? Because you have beliefs even about how far you can turn, even though you're unaware of them. So you have beliefs about money, you have beliefs about relationship, you have beliefs about business, you have beliefs about your own beauty or strength. And so the way to change them, this is the simplest way I can show you in 2 minutes, is to condition your mind. Because once the mind is certain, the body will go there. Tell us how your life's better. Okay? I don't know how long the session was. Again, there's no script here, baby. I just want to work with you heart to heart to say one thing. If you want to break through, you have to make new decisions. New choices create a new life. The only thing stopping you is some limiting belief. Some belief about how life should be different, you should be different. Deal with life the way it is. Tell yourself the absolute truth. Don't make it worse than it is. Tell yourself the truth. Deal with it. Get a vision. Get strong. Get a strategy. Get a role model with a strategy and get into action, and then put your focus on taking action every day. Giving, giving, giving. Change your approach. You will get there.
Every miracle in the Bible has one thing in common. Just one thing in common. Trust me on this. I've studied it. The only thing in common, every miracle in the Bible begins with a problem. You never see a miracle in the Bible without a problem first. There's a problem and then a miracle. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is that when you have a problem, you're blessed. Because you're a candidate for a miracle. You see, the only person that has a problem is the person that doesn't have a problem. You see, if you have a little problem, you're a candidate for a little miracle. If you got a big problem, you're a candidate for a big miracle. I mean, choose the problem and choose the miracle. But if you have no problem, you're not a candidate for a miracle. I feel badly for you.
What sales really is the transfer of emotion. That's what's happening when you sell. You're transferring emotion. And the primary emotion that you're transferring is the emotion of certainty. In other words, watch this. You as a salesman, when you enter the encounter, you have to be absolutely certain that your product is the best, makes sense, it's gonna give them the best benefits out there, the best value proposition, and so forth. And you are in this state of absolute certainty. So imagine now we have a continuum of certainty, a line of certainty. So we have this line of certainty, and on one side of the equation we have what's called a 1, and the other side we have a 10. So a 10 represents a state of absolute certainty, meaning your product is the best thing since sliced bread. It's gonna give them exactly what they want benefit-wise. It's the best deal for the money. It's gonna make them feel the whole thing, right? It is just absolutely awesome. That's a 10 on the certainty scale. It is great, the best thing since sliced bread. And on the other end of the spectrum, you have what's called a 1, right? Which is, it's the worst piece of in the world, right? It's crap, right? Your product is terrible. It's not going to work. Okay, the benefits don't match up what they need. It's overpriced. I don't even want to be near this piece of crap because I'll just feel stupid even buying it or even thinking about buying it. That's a 1, right? So here's the first thing you need to understand: that the moment you open up your mouth to speak as a salesman, you start a sale, the question is this: where is the average prospect, the person you're trying to sell to? Where are they on the certainty scale at the beginning? Anyone know? Where are they? Who the f knows? You must be in this state of absolute certainty. Because what's happening is this: what you're doing when you're selling is everything that you say, everything that you do, every tonality you use, every gesture you make, every document you hand them, every phrase that comes out of your mouth are all designed to do one simple thing: to essentially raise the prospect's level of certainty to as close to his 10 as possible. That's what you're doing. The words that you say, the presentation that you make, the tonalities that you use, any documents you have, sales aids, whatever it might be, is all designed to take them from where they are on the certainty scale and move them to as close to where you are as possible. Essentially, you're transferring your white-hot certainty to someone who's at a cooler level, at a lower level of certainty. It's almost like this first law, or I think it's actually the second law of thermodynamics in physics, right? And you study physics, energy always flows from hot to cold, not the other way around. So you need to be at this white-hot level of certainty. It's exuding out of you, every pore that you have, and we know what certainty feels like and sounds like. We intuitively know as salespeople, and our prospects know as well. We know when someone sounds certain and they have confidence and they're enthusiastic. We know what that looks like, feels like, and sounds like.
Paulo Coelho, the author of The Alchemist, once said that when you and I turn 23, 24 years old, our brain, something happens to it where we become more logical. We're no longer, oh my gosh, this is possible, I can take over the world. I don't know if I can really take over. It seems kind of impossible if you really think about it. There's no way in the world we can do something like this. So we go into this whole different state of thinking, right? The possibility thinking is not out there. Let me explain to you a little bit more about this. Go back 2011. I'm in my room in my office in Woodland Hills, right by Warner Center Marriott. I have made a friend. I had known him for 4 or 5 years. We've done business together. Very smart guy. Loved him. Loved his wife. Good-looking family. Went to Wharton Business School. Sharp as hell. Brilliant guy. He comes to me after meeting at Cheesecake Factory because he says, I'd like to invest. I want you to be the CEO. I want to be your COO president. We go build this company together. I said, great, let's meet. So we finally meet in the office. It's 12:30. We're about to finalize the information to go into contract. And the number we agreed at this time, there's nothing taking place good at this time with the company. We're trying to build it. It's a lot of work. Well, we've been around for a year and a half. There's some track record. So we come out with this number around $500,000 for 10% of the company. You know what he ends up telling me that night? Here's what he says. He says, you know what, Patrick? I said, what's that? I feel like you're a very good negotiator and you're very good in sales. I said, okay, that's a good thing. That just means that you're very smart to team up with somebody like that. That's a very good salesperson negotiator, because you've told me before that's not your strength. Your strength is more operation and technology. Yes. I said, so do you want to team up with a guy that is opposite strengths to you, who's not in sales and negotiation? I'm trying to understand what you're saying with this. He says, well, I just don't know if I'm going to get the best deal here. I said, let me get this straight. You're getting 10% for only $500,000. And I'm doing this because I want you part of our team. I just think you're selling me. There's some stuff I don't know about. I said, okay, no problem. We went our separate ways. Do you realize if we would have come with that investment, his investment is going to be somewhere between $15 to $20 million today. And he would have excelled. What happened? Wharton Business School, way too logical. Everything was about, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? I could just almost watch him thinking. He went all logical. He didn't see the emotional side. He didn't see the social capital, the vision, what we had going on. And he was afraid because he second-guessed himself. So you know what it's like? Let me explain a little bit deeper for you here so it makes sense to you. When you're 16, you're a girl, you're in high school, 10th grade, 11th grade, someone flirts with you. It's cute. You like it. Like, oh my gosh, I think he likes me. It's nice. You share it with your friends. When you're 45, you're single, maybe divorced, and you meet another man, he's divorced. And you meet him somewhere, he comes and talks to you. The approach sometimes is different. You know what happens? Here's what happens. Wait a minute. I know what you're trying to do. You're flirting with me, right? Yes. I know what you want. You only care about one thing. You're just trying to get in my pants. I'm sorry, what do you mean? All you want from me is one thing. All men, all they want is one thing. Skeptic. Logical. When you're skeptic, logical, the guy says, eventually I'm hoping I get into your pants, because that's what people, if I like you, like me, we should probably go in the bedroom and have some fun together, right? No? You're not? Yes. What's wrong if I'm flirting with you? I'm trying to woo you and chase you. Sometimes your dreams are flirting with you, but you're not letting your dreams flirt. Because all you're doing is saying, I know what you're trying to do with me. You're just trying to get into my pants. Of course your dreams are trying to get into your pants. Your dreams is here. They want to get into here. You're not letting them, you're guarding them, so you don't let anybody in. You know what happens when you do that? You live a life with no dreams becoming a reality. Do you really want that life? If you don't want that life, you have to open this up a little bit. And you have to set aside some of the logical thinking, allow for opportunities to come up that get you closer and closer and closer to your dreams.